Hey everyone, we are back with some advanced email marketing. So by this stage, you will have done at least $10,000 in sales. Your email pop-up will be implemented and your list will be growing, and you will have active foundational emails and hopefully some campaigns being sent semi-regularly. So by the end of this lesson, we will have configured our advanced email flows based on our customer journey, and you'll understand and apply advanced email marketing best practices. So more email flows. Yes, unfortunately. So the first one we're going to talk about is a post-purchase flow. And a post-purchase flow comes after the customer purchases, obviously. It reassures the customer after their purchase. It can reduce customer service inquiries. It can answer customer questions and build trust. And it can drive repeat sales and improve customer LTV. So there's a few different ways we can approach a post-purchase flow. I personally like to do it soon after the customer purchases. And I like to start it off with things like an FAQ sheet, a message from the founder, things where we can basically reassure the customer that they can trust us, that they're going to have a good experience with us, answer any questions they may have, and then move to sales emails where we're giving them discount codes and trying to get them to purchase again. We'll also see sometimes brands will just wait until 30 days out or even further, and then just try to upsell them and give them discounts, try to get them to purchase again, and won't worry about that initial post-purchase section, but I like to do both. So the win-back flow. A win-back flow re-engages customers who haven't purchased recently. Generally provides a discount code to come back and purchase. This is cost-effective compared to acquiring new customers. Obviously, we all know it can be expensive to acquire customers on Facebook. So if we already have customers' emails, we really want to get them to purchase again. And this can increase customer LTV by reactivating dormant buyers. So win-back flows typically have a significant time delay. So this will be anyone who purchased from us who hasn't placed a second order in 60 days or 90 days. You can set any time delay you like. Typically we go at least 2 months, 2 to 3 months. And this will try to re-engage those customers and get them to come back and purchase from us again, generally by giving them a discount code. So the browse abandonment flow. What does browse abandonment do? It can recover lost revenue, can convert high intent traffic, it reinforces the brand and builds awareness, and it drives repeat sales and improves customer LTV. So pretty much all the same points as the abandoned cart flow. These customers are going to be a little less intent on buying just because they haven't added items to cart yet. They've just viewed items. So we're probably going to see a slightly lower conversion rate with this versus like an abandoned cart flow, but very similar. And we still want to be marketing to these people because we're going to have a fair amount of customers who view a product but don't actually add it to cart. So this is going to allow us to market to those customers, even if they didn't add items to cart. Okay, so here we're just going to go over setting up our post-purchase flow and our win-back flow. So again, you guys have done this before. We're just going to come into create flow. They're up here. So we have the post-purchase follow-up and we have the customer win-back under start with the essentials. So first one we're going to do is the post-purchase. We're just going to, again, create flow. So when you come in here, you're going to see the trigger when someone placed order. It's going to wait 1 day, and then there's going to be a conditional split. And depending on whether they've placed an order multiple times or placed an order once, it's going to give them this conditional split. So if it's their first order, it's going to send them over here and say, just a new customer, thank you. It's going to say, welcome to Seasonal Collections, thank you. And then if they've placed an order, if this is their second order or they've placed an order, multiple times, it says, it's a repeat customer, thank you. It just says you've made some fantastic choices lately. So I'm going to come down here and just remove this no path. So it's basically just going to divide this flow into people who purchased for the first time and people who have purchased previously. So it's just going to be a little bit different email. If it's their first purchase, it's going to say welcome to the family. If it's their second, third, fourth purchase, whatever, it's going to say you've made some fantastic choices lately and just kind of thank them for being a repeat customer. So you guys can leave these as is. They're pretty basic. I really like these because they help build trust. They help, communicate to the customer that we're appreciative for their business. And they're just overall great to have to build a relationship with our customer. So again, feel free to leave these as they are. They're pretty simple. You guys can also use ChatGPT if you want to build these out a little bit more. You can talk about some background of the brand. You can go a little bit more in depth with the thank you, explain what their support means. Feel free to do whatever you want to do here. But again, we can stick with these pretty basic ones. Don't feel like you have to go too overboard here. And then the second email for the new customer here is a discount code. I would actually move this one down. So we'll leave this 3-day time delay, but then I'm going to add another delay, and then I'm actually going to put an FAQ email in here. So this is one thing I always like to do. I like to have a frequently asked questions email. So you can come in here and just say, change the subject line to frequently asked questions. And I find this really helps to reduce customer service inquiries, just answer customer questions. You're going to have a lot of new customers who are asking about shipping times. When is my order going to be here? All different kinds of questions about your order. So I always recommend having a frequently asked questions page on your website. We don't on this site just because this is a demo store, but usually I would have it linked up here in the navigation bar. And then you would just grab that URL and then input that into this email. So just have the subject line frequently asked questions. Save that, and then come in, change the email, and say something like questions about your order. And then down here, I would just say, have any questions about your order? Feel free to browse our extensive FAQ sheet. So we'll just say, feel free to browse our extensive FAQ sheet that has answers to all of our most commonly asked questions. We appreciate your business and are excited to have you join the community. If you have any questions that aren't answered on our sheet, don't hesitate to reach out. So I would just say that, and then right here, we would just hyperlink this, hyperlink that, and then put in the URL for our FAQ page. And again, I've found that really helpful. People have given us good feedback on that. It helps alleviate a lot of customer service inquiries because a lot of the customer service inquiries you're going to get are from new customers in the time from when they order to when they actually receive their order. And we're only going to do that on the new customer path because obviously if a customer is returning, they probably have already had their questions answered. It's unlikely that they're going to need to refer to our FAQ sheet in the same way new customers will. So we're only going to put that on this pathway. And then you guys can build this out however you want. So here we have some templates for you. These are different post-purchase templates. Now, the way Chris and Meg have this set up, this is from a previous store, they have a 30-day delay. So here they didn't have any emails going out between the time when the customer placed their order and the time when they received their products. You can do that, but again, I like to send emails out right away just to alleviate customer questions, especially for those new customers. If we're talking about repeat customers, this is fine to do, but especially for those new customers, we want to do that FAQ sheet. I typically like to do a founder message as well, where I'll just do a plain text email from myself as the founder, just saying, hey, we really appreciate your business. Here's why I started the brand. Just build trust with the customer, build a relationship with them, make them feel like they're buying from an actual person and not just some corporate entity. That can always be good to do. And this flow example here is really just for repeat customers, but for new customers, we want to have that separate pathway where we're doing those additional things. And then we have some templates in here for you guys to grab. Feel free to just change these around a little bit, but they're pretty basic. They're just going to have different discount codes. And basically the goal with these is just going to be to sell to those people again. In the same way we would with campaign emails, this just makes it easier, makes it automated. So we're just going to, wait 30 days after the purchase and say, hey, we appreciate you purchasing from us. Here's a 15% off if you want to come back and purchase again, something like that. So I'm not going to walk through that again. There's so much we can do with this. I think you guys get the gist of it. Down here is where we would add a time delay. So here we could say, wait 30 days and then clone this out. And here's where we would start kind of the remarketing process where we're sending them discounts and those sorts of things. You guys don't need to do that again. You can be sending those emails just as campaign messages, as one-off blasts if you want to. If you want to build this out to 50 emails, feel free to do that as well. Totally up to you guys how you want to do it. But it can be good to just, add some automated emails that aren't tied to a specific seasonal sale or anything like that. If we just want to give them a 15% off or 20% off and it doesn't matter when they get that, it can be good to add those in here. Same thing over here. Again, we're not going to do the FAQ and like the founder email for repeat customers because they will have already received that the first time. But here we would just do the same thing, clone this 30-day delay. We would just clone that 30-day delay. And then here's where we would just, any of these emails we do down here that would be discount emails that we would want to go both to new customers and existing customers. Anytime we create one of those, we would just clone it out and put it on this pathway as well. So the only part that's really going to be different here is these first few emails, and then everything after that can be pretty much the same. So that's your post-purchase flow. Again, feel free to set that up however you guys want. What's important here is these first emails and that we're marketing to new customers one way and repeat customers another way. So the next flow we're going to do is the win-back flow. So again, just come in here to create flow, customer win-back. And so this flow is going to have a 75-day time delay after someone places an order. And there's a filter here placed orders 0 times since starting this flow. So this flow is only going to be sent to people who placed an order at least 75 days ago and haven't placed another order since then. If they do place another order in that time frame, they'll be removed from this flow. So, like we talked about the post-purchase flow, customers are going to be getting those emails ongoing. If they do place another order, they'll be removed from this flow, so they won't be getting both of those at the same time. That's a question we get occasionally. No, the way these flows are set up, they're exclusive. So once a customer purchases, they'll get removed from one, so they won't be getting both at the same time. So this is pretty simple. It's similar to the post-purchase flow, and the goal here is just to get a customer to come back and purchase from us again when they haven't in a long time. So the first email here, subject line is, it's been a while. Here's what's trending right now. It's just going to show them some popular products. You can leave this as is. I think that's a perfectly fine email. If you want to throw a discount code in there, feel free. And again, we have some templates for you guys over here. We'll typically include at least one discount in this flow, a lot of times multiple discounts. So feel free to grab any of these templates, just tailor them to your brand. Again, don't have to be anything crazy, but what's important is that we have a few of these emails going out, just trying to win these customers back. So the way it's set up is with a 75-day delay. Then this first email just shows them trending products, another 15-day delay, and then it says, we've missed you. And again, just showing some popular products. This is dynamic based on the customer's experience. It'll show them like products they've viewed before. So again, I think this is a perfectly fine email to leave in here. And then I would just do another delay. And then here's where I would start adding the discount emails, because again, we want to try to send them a couple emails first without a discount, hoping that one of those will get them to come back and purchase. And then if they don't, if they see those 2 emails, we still don't get them back, then we say, okay, we're going to up the ante. Here's a discount code, and hopefully that incentivizes them to come back. You can just clone these emails out, super easy. Grab one of those templates, and then come in here, leave the email largely the same, just throw in a discount, say, hey, if you come back and shop now, we really want to earn your business back, we'll give you a 15% off or whatever that is. So again, I'm not going to walk through all that. I think you guys know how to do this at this point. Pretty straightforward. And again, if you guys want to build some crazy banners, make these emails look super professional, feel free to do so. I know I talked about it before, Mild.com and Canva are 2 good resources for that. Canva makes it really easy to make your own banners and things, and Mild.com is great for showing, what's working for other brands. So feel free to do that. This advanced stage is, if your marketing is doing well, your business is running profitably, that's where I would kind of start getting into these more advanced emails. And this is a great resource to do so. As I've said before, we could build an entire course just on email marketing, but the important thing is that we have those flows set up and running. Again, Klaviyo does a good job of optimizing those flows based on the data they have. So you really don't need to go too elaborate with these, but feel free, if you have the time, want to mess around, just come to Mild, see what's working for other brands, and then go crazy with it. So that about wraps up our flows, and hopefully that is helpful to you guys. So SMS marketing. I know we talked about this a little bit before, and we set up our list and started building that, but here's where we're going to actually get into sending SMS campaigns. So SMS lists are very valuable, and they allow us to get information directly to customers. So you guys know this, pretty much anytime you get a text message, you're going to open it and see what it says, versus email where you may open 30% of your emails or even less. So SMS marketing allows for remarketing at a much lower cost than ads. Again, similar to email. As I said, SMS marketing is similar to email marketing with a few major differences. So you'll see fewer signups for SMS, but a much higher open rate and click rate, which improves customer LTV. So with email marketing, we'll get a large number of people who will sign up. Most people are willing to put their email in exchange for a discount code or something like that, but we'll get fewer people opening our emails. As we talked about, our open rate may hover around 30 to 40%. With SMS marketing, we're gonna get a much lower percentage of people who will put their phone number in and sign up for SMS because it's more intrusive. People are less willing to give out their phone numbers, but when they do, we're gonna get much higher open rates, a lot of times up to like 90%, much higher click rates. It's easier for people to click to the site, and they're going to be more willing to do so. So even though these lists are generally a lot smaller, they have a lot of value. So some SMS tips and best practices. As I said, SMS is more intrusive and should be handled more cautiously. We really want to send a maximum of 1 SMS per week, and ideally only 2 to 3 per month. So this is in contrast to email. As we said with email, we're typically sending 2 to 3 emails per week. We definitely don't want to do that with SMS. You're going to get a much higher unsubscribe rate. So we want to limit it to a maximum of 1 per week, and ideally really only sending one every 10 to 15 days. And for these SMS messages, we really want to prioritize high value messages such as large sales. So an example of this would be like a Black Friday sale. We sent a few messages this Black Friday that had, 30% off discounts and really high value things, but we're not sending any content or, anything outside of really important sales information and things that we really need our customers to know. So as opposed to email where you pay for the number of subscribers you have, SMS messages get billed on a credit basis. So each SMS message you send must be under 160 characters or it counts as multiple credits. If you go over that, it will be twice as much. Even if you do, 161 or 162 characters, that counts as 2 credits and will cost twice the amount. We really want to stay under that 160 character limit. We also want to stick to text only messages ideally. Images will count as an MMS message, which is 2 to 3 times the cost of an SMS message. And emojis also will eat up a large number of characters. I think they account for between 35 and 40 characters. So it's really hard to send a meaningful text if you include emojis, just because you're very limited on characters. And we really want to avoid going over that 160 character limit just because it's literally going to double your cost. Okay, so here we are in Klaviyo and we're going to run through sending an SMS message. So we're just going to go to campaigns, same way we do when we send a campaign email, create campaign, and we'll select SMS. And you guys should have this set up at this point. Obviously name it whatever you want. Just click continue. And then we're going to choose our SMS list. We don't have anyone on this list because this is a demo account, but obviously if you have your pop-up running, you guys should have some subscribers by this point. Again, I'm going to turn off smart sending and then click next. And here it is, super simple. So we're just going to put our message content over here. As you can see, it has the 160 character limit. You can go over that, but it's going to count for a second credit, as we said. So we really want to stay under that if possible. So we could say something like that. Hey, Rockstar, today only shop 30% off our spring bestsellers. And then we would just go grab our collection. And here's where you could do like an auto applied discount, or we could just give them a discount code in the text itself. And then we would add the link. And that obviously was where you would grab the auto applied discount from Shopify. Actually, that is going to be over our character limit. So see, it happens quickly because they put in the brand name and you have to have this text stop to opt out. So we got to be really careful with our character limit. So you could even just send something like that. And again, we want these to be really important emails only when we're offering a big discount or something of that sort. So it gives customers a lot of incentive to go to the site. We don't want to be sending content or text that don't contain really important information. And then once we're done, once we have that message, obviously just test the link and then we'll go to next. And actually one thing you can do here before we move forward is you can send a test up here. So you can just put your phone number in and hit send, and that will send you a preview message that you can just look at on your phone, make sure everything looks good, click the link. And that's always good to do just to make sure everything's as we want it. And here we'll just click next. And it's giving me an error here just because this list doesn't have anyone on it. Obviously you guys shouldn't see this, presuming there's people on your list. And then once we're done with that and everything looks good, we're just going to go up to schedule and send. And this is exactly the same as we do with email. You can schedule that out for a later date, or you can send now. And then we'll just schedule the campaign. And that's it. Very similar to email, even simpler. Again, the really important things here are that we're sending these infrequently, that we're only offering, meaningful discounts and meaningful information when we do, and that we're not spamming our customers. So what metrics are we looking for SMS marketing? They're going to be a lot different from email. As I said, you're going to see a much higher open rate. You're going to see a much higher click-through rate. Even though our lists are a lot smaller, you're going to get a lot more conversions from that smaller amount of people. So for open rate for SMS, we really want to see at least 90%. It may be even higher than that. Sometimes you'll get, 95, 96, 97%, just because most people are going to see a text on their phone and open it no matter what. As we talked about, it's a lot more personal. It's easier to get that information to people. So we want to see 90+% there. If you're a little bit below that, in the 80s, not something to worry about too much. It's really only concern if we're down at like 50% or something, then you're probably having an issue with deliverability. So for click-through rate, we really want to see at least like 15%. 20 plus is even better. We typically see between 15 and 20% on the messages we send. And some of that will depend on your list, how engaged they are, how recently they were added to the list. So again, there's going to be some variation, but we want to see at least 15% ideally. And again, if you're, sub 10%, there's probably some sort of issue there. I would check your link. I would check your offers and just make sure that everything in the text looks good, that it's important information that's really driving people to the site with a sense of urgency. And then the last metric we're going to talk about is unsubscribe rate. So unsubscribe rate for text messages is always going to be higher than for emails, just because, again, it's a lot more personal. People get bothered by text more quickly than they get bothered by emails. So your unsubscribe rate is naturally going to be higher. We typically see anything from 3 to 5%. As long as you're below that 5% mark, I would say you're okay. Obviously, the lower the better. If you're sending these the right way, where you're only sending a few texts a month, it's important information, it should be lower. It should be, 2 to 3% or even lower than that. If you're above 5%, you're probably sending texts too often, or the texts aren't meaningful enough, they're not providing important information, or they're not giving good discount codes. Whatever the reason may be, if you are above 5%, just take a step back, send fewer text messages, make sure the messages that you are sending are important and are going to be meaningful to your customers.